This is the Flathead Valley Sports Haven, a segment where I highlight current and former Flathead Valley area athletes, coaches, and sports figures celebrating the best athletics our valley has to offer. The Flathead Valley Sports Haven is powered by Logan Health, and today's guest is Addy Connelly, head coach of the Whitefish High School Volleyball team. Coach Connelly has been a fixture in the Flathead Valley Volleyball for nearly 2 decades, closer to 3 probably, with stops at both Columbia Falls and Whitefish. She's led teams to state tournaments. She's coached middle school volleyball and eventually found her way back to the varsity sideline at Whitefish. And now she's preparing for another season with the Bulldogs while also being part of a pretty special celebration of Whitefish volleyball history coming up this season. So first of all, Coach, thank you for joining me here today.
Thanks for having me.
Let's go ahead and start off with, for people that may not know you outside of Whitefish volleyball, give us a little bit of your story. How did volleyball and coaching become such a big part of your life?
Sure. So I'm a local girl. I grew up in Kalispell. I attended Flathead High School, and I was tall when I was little. And I remember hating volleyball when I was in elementary school. It was the worst. And Mr. Plimpton at Linderman High School, or Linderman Middle School, back when it was set up that way, was like, you need to play volleyball. And I was like, I don't like it. He goes, if you come out, you can be on my team. I said, okay, I guess I'll give it a go. So I came out. I didn't get to be on his team, but he got me out there, and I fell in love with it then. And I went on to play up through high school. We were a state championship team in that year of 2001, same year as Whitefish had it. And we did a ton with Whitefish High School at the time. Mo Boyle was our coach. She had a great knack for just bringing the girls in that season. She had started 4 years earlier. And so in 4 years, she had made a state championship team. There were 7 seniors on that team, and all 7 of us went on to play softball. One was a pole vaulter. A bunch of us went on to play volleyball. So it was just a really talented group of kids, and she just really fostered an environment of a love for the game. And we would come up, we scrimmaged Whitefish. We had leagues where we do 4-on-4 leagues. And I remember we'd ride up together and we'd play Whitefish, and we'd have this great camaraderie. Maren Audette, Kelsey Jensen, the names that you hear, it was tooth and nail. We would play hard against those guys. And it was really cool to bring the state championships to the Flathead Valley that year in 2001. And then I went on to play at Lewis Clark State in Lewiston, Idaho. I played as a middle blocker there. And after that, I came back. I'm a teacher in the Valley. I work up at Mole down in Whitefish, but started in West Glacier and would help Jackie Fuller when she was the coach at Whitefish just as a volunteer. And then Columbia Falls needed a coach, and Jackie referred me. So I got the opportunity to coach Varsity over in Columbia Falls for 7 years, and really enjoyed that time. I learned a ton. I grew up with those girls. I was 22 when they were 18, so they'd come in and be like, hey, where's the coach? And I was like, I'm right here. And stepped away for a couple years to have a couple kids, but did middle school at that point, and then transferred over to Whitefish to teach over in Whitefish. And Jackie asked me to come back and volunteer some more with them, so I was busy doing that, and then she stepped away, and I was able to step in for a year, and that was 10 years ago.
Jeez. All right, folks, there's the episode. That's everything you know. Just kidding. What does it mean to you to not just coach in the Valley, coach at Whitefish, but be from the Valley, be one of these Flathead Valley kids who grew up here, has done everything here, went off to college, came back? What does it mean to you to be from the Valley?
I think, to be from this Valley, there are incredible folks here. And to see, we have a small area, but to go out and compete in colleges and national arenas and stuff, and to see the things that our kids do from our community, and they get to come back and celebrate with us, but there's some very talented individuals that have come out of our area, and to just be a part of that, part of the growth through that, and having the opportunity to coach and to teach these individuals, it's pretty meaningful just to be a part of that.
That's awesome. And then you wanted to play collegiately. When did you know that coaching is something you wanted to do? Did you know in high school, or was it once your playing days were over, that's when you made that transition?
It was pretty much when my playing days were over, and they were looking for coaches. I enjoyed it, but I don't think I ever thought that I would see myself as a coach 20 years later. I've had 17 as a head coach, 3 as a middle school coach. But I wouldn't have said when I was in college that I would have had this career. And I've tried stepping away a couple of times, and it feels like there's a big piece of me missing. And my husband notices it, and my family's all on board with it. They're super supportive, and I have all boys. And so it's my way to get my girl fix and, help these girls be strong, independent, fearless women is, kind of the ultimate goal.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. So let's go into your Columbia Falls days here a little bit. That's where you got your start and everything. What do you mainly remember about those early years? Or is there any athletes that stick out to you or anything that really that when you think about those years that is on the forefront of your mind?
I'm glad I've grown. I'm glad I've grown as a coach. I had the opportunity to coach amazing individuals. I remember Callie Spencer and Danielle Vukanich and Monica Burns. I used to call her Mama, and I think I still would if I saw her. And those were my girls that started me out on coaching. Kayla DeWitt. There were just, Haley Belgard. There's so many kids that come through, and being invited to weddings and then hearing about them. I'll get some random Facebook messages every once in a while, and you're like, man, did I do right by them? And no, I didn't do right by them all the time, but I sure tried, and I've grown and I've learned. And to have them come back and be like, thanks a lot, coach. It's like, okay, I've made a positive difference in their lives, and I've, in this meantime, have had an opportunity to grow as well. But it was an amazing opportunity to work with those athletes over in Columbia Falls.
You have that rare distinction of you've seen this rivalry from two different aspects. You've been a part of both those communities. Yeah. What was that program like in Columbia Falls when you took over, and what did you maybe learn most during that time?
I think to make it my own. I had Mo Boyle and I had Jackie Fuller as people that I followed, and passionate, amazing women. And I remember early on trying to emulate what they did, but to learn what works for me, what parts of their coaching pattern and style worked for me, and what parts didn't, and how to change that. And that's taken me some time and growth over to figure out. As for the rivalry, it is what it is, right? Like one side was never better than the other. And at the end of the day, they're amazing kids that are out there for the love of the game, and they all have these bright, beautiful futures. And it just happens to be that we're different towns, and so that rivalry is there. But the kids are equally awesome on both sides.
How about, is there any team that really sticks with you when you think about those Columbia Falls years? Is there a year that really stands out to you?
I think that first year to me, just because it was there. And then probably my last year in 2012, it was a really hard decision to step away because I wasn't ready to step away. But logically, I had a brand new baby, a 1-year-old, and I was pregnant with a second one. And I was like, how do I do all this? There's just not enough of me to do this and do anything well. And so stepping away from that 2012 team, and then they went on to be very successful the next couple of years. It was like, I guess for me, like I got to have Hannah Schweiker and then to go watch her play at Carroll and just see the Finberg girls and have that opportunity to know that I got to have a part of their growth and part of their story throughout the way is pretty cool.
Yeah, take me through that 2012 team a little bit, because you made the state tournament that year, right? Mm-hmm. So take me through that year, and what do you maybe remember most about that run?
Oh, man, you're asking me to stretch back a long time. I just remember the girls, right? You can remember specific games and specific plays and stuff, but at the end of the day, you remember the girls and how they worked together and what they brought to each other. And you can do everything as a coach, but you can put the kids and the players, out on the court and where they need to be, but it's up to those girls and how they work together, what they've put their minds to. And we've had, some other teams like that when we've come over to Whitefish that have kind of done the same thing, and they're just a unique group that really work well together and find a common goal.
You kind of touched on it. Growth seems to be the big thing you take away from your Columbia Falls days. What did you learn about those days that maybe shaped who you have become as a coach?
I'm softer. I'm softer. I was a yeller back then, and having an understanding and some more grace as I've gotten older and recognized how I impact people. That demand is there, and you can have that demand for your athletes, and you can do it without yelling. Like it just doesn't work the same anymore. And I find that my players, with that growth and that change, are much more receptive, right? Who really wants to be hollered at? I don't know. I don't. So that's been a big part of like how I've changed over that time.
And so you have an interesting career trajectory in terms of how the Whitefish job came about. You knew Jackie Fuller back in your playing days. You played against her. You've coached with her. So
coached against her.
Coached against her. Mm-hmm. So how did that opportunity come about to be the head coach at Whitefish? Take me through kind of all the little steps that went into that.
Jackie just stepped out at the beginning in September of that season, and they were looking for a coach, and the freshman and JV coach at that time were interested in taking on the head coach position. And since I was already volunteering and supporting that crew and had head coach experience, our superintendent had asked me if I would step in for that year.
Is that something that you knew maybe you'd always want to do? Or, I mean, being from Flathead, coaching at Columbia Falls, Whitefish was the ultimate rival of both those programs.
It's true. No, it wasn't something that I had ever really set my sights on, but I saw that there was a need, and I was like, I can do that for a year. I'd be happy to do that. And then 1 year has turned into 10. And, I met my husband when I was coaching, and then I stepped away, and he's just like, you're a happier person when you're finding something that you love to do, right? It's something that's been such a part of my life for so long. It's a passion, and it's something that I really love doing. And so, I don't know, as moms, we don't have those all the time. And so it's been a gift that he's recognized that and supported me through this process, and that the kids are supportive, and my family, my parents, my in-laws, like it's taking a whole village and then some to get my kids to their practices and do all of that at the expense of me doing something that I love. And so being allowed to do that and then getting to share my love with my athletes has been a pretty important part.
Talk to me about those early years. I mean, for people who know Whitefish Volleyball knows what Jackie Fuller means to not just volleyball, but Whitefish in general, coaching, one of the greatest coaches in school's history, if not the greatest. What was it like filling those shoes?
They're still not full yet. They're still not full. I'm still working on filling those shoes. And, I find myself coming back to things that Jackie used to do when I was playing or when I got to watch her as she was coaching. And try to put some of those practices into play and continue to refine my practice. But yeah, those shoes aren't full yet.
That being said, I know you have a good relationship with Fuller. Take me through that relationship. What's it like? Because I know she's in your corner, has your back with everything. What's it like to know that, I know you've told me just off there, that she made that transition easier than probably it normally would be? Yeah,
she's always been super supportive. She's always been a cheerleader for us. Even when I was playing at Flathead, she was always coaching. She's just a coach, right? So she wasn't just coaching the athletes. She was coaching me. She was giving me feedback when I was a coach. When I had the opportunity to come in and watch her and help out, like I got to learn from her. And so she was coaching not only the athletes, but the coaches and making impacts on me throughout many, many years. Yeah. She was an influential part for sure of my high school career. Absolutely.
How about your philosophy now? What was your philosophy like when you took over at Whitefish compared to what's it like now? I bet you the core values probably haven't changed.
Core values haven't changed. No. It's all about, students first, athletes second. And at the end of the day, have they left better than what they came in as? Do they have confidence? Are they better humans in our community? Volleyball is a really great tool to get us to that point. It teaches our leadership. It teaches us confidence. It teaches us conflict management. It teaches us disappointment and how do we overcome it. It puts stress on us. And how do we manage that? So many of the skills that we use later in life come through sports. And so we get to play the game, which is the fun part, but there's a lot of life lessons in the game that help shape us.
How about in terms of that philosophy? Obviously, there's probably some things that when you take over that you change. There's some things that you preserve. You even have just said that you still go back to this day and do some of the stuff that you learned from Jackie Fuller years ago. What's some of that stuff that you still take with you to this day?
Consistency, lots of communication, setting routines for the girls, like having those clear expectations. They know what's expected, and so that makes coaching a lot easier. You're not having to fiddle fart around with the little things that when you let snowball end up making a big problem. Making sure that our grades are good to go, holding kids accountable, having those tough conversations, even if they're uncomfortable for the athlete, but just holding them accountable, believing in them, and letting them know that.
So what makes coaching in Whitefish different from coaching in Columbia Falls?
Well, I get 3 courts, which is amazing. The gym facility is pretty fabulous. And after this remodel, it's going to be outstanding. Gosh, I don't know that it's better. Like, it's not worse. It's not better. It's a little bit different. We have some different clientele. But at the end of the day, they're great kids on both sides of it. I can't say that one side is better than the other. I love my girls that I have now. I loved my girls that I had then. Yeah.
How about at what point did Whitefish actually start to feel like home for you?
Oh, gosh. There's sometimes, every once in a while, especially early on, I'd be like, let's go, cats, dogs. That doesnit happen like it used to. So I'd say probably 6, maybe 7 years ago,
okay.
It feels like home, especially with my kids going to school there. And this freshman class is really fun. I got to have them as first graders at Muldown back in the day. So they were actually in my class, some of them. So it's like, I know these girls on a different level than, say, my seniors that I had 10 years ago that I didn't have the opportunity to teach. So I've gotten to see these girls. My sophomores are kind of the same way. I had them in music back in the day when they were in kindergarten and first grade. So just knowing them and knowing our community so much better, seeing them out and about and being able to follow them, they've just become part of life at this point, where that necessarily wasn't the case when I was in Columbia Falls because I lived in Whitefish. So just being a part of that community, it feels like home.
And then we kind of touched on this, but you eventually stepped away from coaching varsity volleyball for a period of time. Obviously, when you have a kid, sometimes that has to happen. Was that the only reason? And what was it like kind of being away from that varsity game for a little bit?
Yeah, that really was the only reason. I had a 1-year-old and I had a baby on the way that was due in early December. And it was a good thing I did step away. He was very early and it was during divisionals. And then we were in the NICU through state and they went to state that year. And I was like, I would have been completely worthless. So, there was a reason I had stepped away, and it was a really good time to do so. And then I got that next year, I had missed it so much that I stepped into that middle school coaching role, and it kind of filled that hole a little bit. And then in 2016, when I transferred from Columbia Falls as a teacher to Whitefish as a teacher, Jackie was like, hey, can you come help my middles? Because that's what I played in high school was a middle, and through college I played as a middle. So I would just come in and I would work with their middles over and over and over. And it was really fun just being back on that court with a little bit more competitiveness from that middle school level. And I actually had applied for a middle school position, and I filled in for Fuller that year, and then I resigned because I was just going to do it for a year because I had my 3rd son at that point. I was pregnant and had my 3rd son, and there was a middle school position open. So I applied for that, like, okay, I can still get my volleyball fix, but it left the varsity position open. They wouldn't even give me an interview for the middle school job. They just said, yeah, no. It's like, but they're like, if you're going to coach, you're going to stay with the varsity squad.
Funny.
We don't have coaches that are applying. There's not people knocking down the door to coach, especially at that varsity level. It's just a next level. And
isn't it funny how life works like that sometimes?
It does. And I still kind of reflect on it like, really? I think I'd be an okay middle school coach again some days. There's some days you're like, yeah, I'll go back to that.
I think that was Fuller not letting you leave.
I don't know. Dang it, Fuller. No, I love where I'm at. And it's a full-time job. We're pretty close to 1,000 hours a year with time with these girls that we get to see them. Like, it's not, I know our season is 93 days. That's what MHSA tells us. It is not 93 days. It keeps going and going. We're doing this together, but seeing the girls, taking them to camp, doing morning workouts. Like, it's a labor of love for sure. Any head coach, any high school coach for that matter, is doing this job because they love what they do. There is no other reason that any of our coaches in our valley are coaching other than they absolutely love being with kids and making a difference in what they do.
That time away, was that a good, I mean, I guess it wasn't really time away because you were still coaching middle school, but at the same time to take a break from varsity, were you able to kind of step back, and did that time away really help you into becoming a varsity coach again? Or what did you reflect on? What did you learn about yourself?
I think when you coach middle school, your demands are different than your varsity athletes, right? What you're demanding of them. And so, there's more grace for mistakes and stuff because the consequence isn't as high, potentially. So when I did come back to, I was like, okay, this is a game at the end of the day, and mistakes are going to be made. And so it allowed me to have a little bit more grace with my athletes and allow them to learn and grow. And like I said, I used to be a yeller, and and that time off and having kids and having the opportunity to work with younger athletes, it does shape it. Right? It just allows you a different opportunity to reflect on what you're doing through your practices. I always kind of giggle when, there are these juniors and seniors kind of look at me sometimes and they're like a little bit terrified. And then there's a 5-year-old that sees me out and about and they wrap their arms around Mrs. Connelly, because I teach kindergartners too. And they're like, wait, she can't really be that scary. There's a 5-year-old that's really excited to see her. And so as the girls get into the program and they're becoming my big girls, as I call them, just because they're older and they're leading our program, as they're coming up through, they're a little bit cautious, and then they get to me and they're like, oh no, she's completely ridiculous. She's a goofball. She's like, she would do anything for you. And so just that perspective over time as kids get to know me a little bit more in the coaching role, because I do have to set those boundaries and have high expectations for these girls. And they're like, okay. By the time they get to me in the senior year, they're like, yeah, I had Bailey Smith. She's like, Coach, I see you're coming to Dillon. As soon as you get your schedule, let me know. I want to come see you. So having that opportunity just to continue these conversations with these girls and seeing Haley and McKenna Els, those girls, and Brooks Zatuni, and Cam reached out, Cameron Couch, and she's like, I'm really missing volleyball. And Eleanor Art, she's like, I'm finding a hole. I'm missing volleyball. And I was like, I miss those girls too. I'm excited for the season and where we're going. But those players, they all have those little holes that they leave an impact on your life. And Maggie Mercer, I get to talk to later today, and Miley. It's just so fun to follow these girls as they grow.
You're listening to the Flathead Valley Sports Haven. We'll be back with head coach of the Whitefish Volleyball team, Addy Connelly, after a word from Logan Health.
Is pain or weakness holding you back? When the pain cramps your lifestyle, consider joint replacement. At Logan Health Orthopedics, their total joint program provides proper education, support, and guidance during your journey. Orthopedic nurse navigators walk you through the entire process, from decision to recovery. Their surgeons use the latest technology to get you back to activity quickly with less pain and fewer restrictions. Visit logan.org/ortho to learn more. Get back to what you love with Logan Health Orthopedics.
Back from the break here on the Flathead Valley Sports Haven, continuing along with Addy Connelly, head coach of the Whitefish Volleyball team. How about some of the numbers that Whitefish Volleyball has seen recently in the last several years? I know one of the hardest jobs as a coach is to make cuts, but that also means that you're seeing extraordinary numbers. What's with the record numbers it seems like Whitefish Volleyball has been getting recently? Yeah,
I'm going to say it's not one of the worst. It is the worst. It is the hardest. It is the worst day. Man, it is hard watching these girls who have worked their tails off and really want to play and not being able to continue that opportunity. MHSA sets us rules and we kind of have to abide by them. It's hard to get more than 12 players into a court, especially at game time. And so we have a great following at the middle school, I think, and at the elementary school. I think it helps because I get to work at the elementary and the middle school, so I see these kids all the time and get to promote it. And Vonda Garcia has been great. She's had me come in a few times. She's our PE teacher at Muldown, and she'll be like, hey, help me with the volleyball stuff. And right now we've got Leslie Pendergast. She helped coach in Columbia Falls back in the day as well, and she's now over at Muldown as a PE teacher. And so she's helping kind of just breed some of that love for the game, and we try to get the girls in as much as we can. But when they're little, my big girls come and help coach camp. That's part of one of the expectations that they do. So they help with summer camp and they help with our spring league camp that we do. And then all of a sudden I have freshmen that remember having the seniors as their coaches. And so it's building this community.
Yep.
And Jackie did that. She started that a long time ago, and I've just been able to kind of piggyback on that and keep it going. But I think that that's been a really essential part of it, is we've offered the opportunities for our athletes at all levels, second grade on up through. And then our coaches have continued to create that community and build that by building relationships out. You know, some of my varsity girls will come and be like, I saw so-and-so, and it was so good to see her from camp. And they have all these stories, and they'll be like, oh, I remember coaching you when you were, you know, a sixth grader or whatever it is. And so that's been able to build our community and what's helped us stay really strong and continue to grow. And then volleyball's like the fastest growing sport in the nation. And all of our clubs, we've got 3 to 4 different clubs, kind of depending on where you're playing, that these girls have the opportunity to go play in the spring. And so a lot of them are playing year round anymore. And they're touching a lot of volleyballs, and the game of volleyball has changed significantly in a really great way. Things that we struggled to do in 2005, we can do it 9 times more. Like if I ask for 100 passes, they can get up to 900 now. Like it's just a significant difference in the level of ability, and it's just exposure. Starting them young, keeping our program strong, and then having our club opportunities.
Yeah, that's how you build a program. I know you, Coach Bolwig with the football team, does a really good job. We're seeing Coach Bolam for girls basketball really start to get into that. Willie Roach, obviously, with track. But let's go into this year's team a little bit. Take me through, I know it's still early, only a couple of practice, mainly just tryouts under the belts. But what are you seeing from the girls so far this year?
An incredible, contagious energy. They're so excited to be here this year. We don't have a lot of varsity experience. We've got Allie Shores, Annabelle Burrell, that have had significant varsity court time. Adelie Peterson, she played for us last year. Sophia Chris got a little bit of time. Claire Easterly got a little bit of time on the varsity court. And then we're pretty young in that regard. But man, are they excited. And it's contagious from our seniors all the way down through our freshmen. And they're working incredibly hard. So do we have growth opportunities? 100%. But I'm really excited about this group of girls.
Is Avery
unique.
Orm jumping up and touching the beams
Almost.
yet? Almost.
Yeah. I suspect she'll be past that here pretty quick. We've also got to add another a freshman that's going to be playing up on varsity, Abby Brooks. And I'm watching them the other day at tryouts, and Avery Orm hits the ball and she puts it down inside the 10-foot line. Abby Brooks is right behind her. She puts it down inside the 10-foot line. And Brianne Lampion was there, and she just looked at me and she goes, okay. To have that consecutively happen, like it used to be a rarity that it was coming down on the 10-foot line, and to have 2 in a row, and then they came back through again and did it again, and we're like, this is fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what would you say are the biggest strengths of this team right now then?
They want to play for each other. They're not in it for themselves this year. They're kind to one another, and that seems like a silly thing, but that goes
a long ways.
A really long way. When you are there to support each other and you're excited for the success of your teammates, that breeds success. And that's what these girls have going for them right now. And they haven't played a lot together, but just that excitement and that willingness to get better, we're going to see some good stuff from them.
So what's the biggest maybe area that needs improvement then right now? Is it just finding where they're all going to piece together?
That's one of the parts. Yeah, we've got lots of passers program wide, and then we've got some great strong hitters as well. And so just figuring out which combinations work well. Like we had some players that you put one on the right side and one on the left side, not great, and you flip-flop them and put them on the other sides of each other, and they're amazing passers, right? So it comes down sometimes in volleyball to who's on which side of you. Like who passes better one way versus the other. Maggie and Miley were a great example of that. If we flip-flopped them, still good passers, but if we flip-flopped them back to their comforts, they were great, right? And so just finding those little nuances with this crew of athletes as we go through, and lots of talent, freshman, JV, and varsity-wise. Like, it's exciting. Looking forward to, not just this year.
How about this junior class a little bit? When this class came in as freshmen, you saw that this group was going to be good. Yeah. Last year, it seemed like you had the unfortunate aspect of you have a really good senior group, and it's not that these sophomores weren't good, but they just weren't quite there. Are we going to see what this junior class is really capable of? Is this the year where they kind of break out, so to speak?
I think so. I think that working in combination with some of those other athletes, right? Like as we move through our seniors, there's 5 of them out there that haven't seen a ton of varsity court time, but they're fitting in. They're figuring out the speed of a varsity game is significantly faster. Looking at your height, your passing height. How fast can we get that ball to the target so that target can then get the ball into a hitter's hands? So we're looking at some of that piece. Like we have to speed up our game and just finding the comfort level of doing that. So some basic pieces and lots of conversations. I told them today, I was like, I think I've probably all given you 7 things each that you can work on. And I said, do me a favor, write them down. Focus on one of them. You're going to hear me. And Allie Shores agreed. And she's like, coaches tell you the same things over and over. She's just going to remind you. She might give you 7 things, but she'll keep reminding you of those things. And she might say it in a little bit different way, but same message. Like there's a lot that we have to learn, but we're going to keep with those little basic things. And so I think that's where our biggest growth is going to be, is just getting used to a varsity court and how to run it efficiently.
How about some names to watch out for? Obviously, we know what Allie Shores can do. We know what Avery Orm's going to do. We know what Annabelle Brill is capable of. How about who are some names maybe that the fans, that the audience, that the spectators should maybe be aware of?
Yeah. Adelie Peterson, she played for us last year in the middle. And we've been playing her on the right side, and very excited about her on the right side. She's tall. She's going to put up a great block for us, and she's been getting a hold of the ball on that right side. Chanter Crack had a great track season. She's coming in, looking at her for some middle. She's super quick. And then Abby Brooks is a freshman stud that we get the opportunity to have on our program this year. She came from the Christian Academy, and she's 5'11". She's nearing 6 foot, and she's putting balls down. She can pass, she can serve, she's got hands. So trying to look at, do I run a 6'2" and get Allie Shore some front row playing time, or ran kind of a funky rotation at camp and put her and put Allie and Abby as middles and setters, which are probably the 2 most demanding jobs on a volleyball court. And I was like, are you tired? And they're like, uh-huh. And I'm like, do you need a break? And they're like, no, we got this. Both of them like fully owned it. And I was like, okay.
That's fantastic.
All right, well, what can we do with this? So I think
so you have some fun.
I've got some flexibility and finding what's going to work, of where people are going to play and what they're going to do.
How about how tough is this conference going to be? Because it seems like the Northwest A is always one of the toughest conferences out there.
It is, with the exception of Billings Central, and then we get Frenchtown generally the last couple of years. And Browning, Libby, they've been working hard, but every year they're getting a little bit stronger and a little bit stronger. You used to go into those games and we'd have to have conversations like, make sure you play your game.
Yeah, there's not a runaway opponent this year.
There isn't. And like, make sure you're playing your game. Like, we have the opportunity, even though they might not be as good as we are, we have the opportunity to get better. How do we push ourselves? And we're actually starting to see where we're playing. Since Cindy Ostrom left up in Libby, they kind of went downhill a little bit there, but then they've been slowly coming back, and you're like, okay, there's some good things. Polson's always strong. Mm-hmm. Ronan's got a new coach this year. Joe's still rocking it over in Columbia Falls, so they're...
And then Big Fork's always just
And then
tough.
Big Fork is tough, too. Yeah. So I really think it's anybody's season this year. It's going to be who turns it on and takes care of business.
Yeah, is this maybe one of those years where it's really gonna come out to be who can come on late, who can win the key game, if you will? It doesn't seem like it's a season really in any sport where you're gonna have someone that just walks over everyone. It's gonna be a dogfight, pun intended, each night.
Yeah, I think it will be. I'll be curious what the new coach in Ronan does. And how she moves those girls forward. Lacey did a great job with them. And, every coach has little things that we find holes on our teams and how we can tweak those little pieces. And so Liz does an amazing job down in Polson as well with her players. There's some great one-off players. And it's how can we get, one player doesn't win it in volleyball. Mm-hmm. You can have that star player in basketball and they're shooting and taking care of business for you. But in volleyball, you might have a stud, but if you don't have someone that can get the ball to them, if you don't, like, for instance, if I don't have a pass to get to Allie can't get that ball to Avery Orm to put it away for us, right? So it's really a full team unity piece that comes together, and who's able to find that, put it together.
So let's move on to, there's something pretty special happening this season in Whitefish. Yes. The program is going to celebrate its history by bringing back and honoring all the state championship teams, along with recognizing Jackie Fuller, Lucy McFadden, Colleen Sullivan, and it's really going to be a night to honor Whitefish volleyball in general. What does that night mean to you as the current head coach? What are you looking forward to for this big anniversary special?
I hope I do it justice. I hope you know that we're continuing the tradition that was started all those years ago. You know, Whitefish was one of 4 schools that started it in the state of Montana, which is incredible. It was Big Fork, Ronan, Polson, and Whitefish, and they started playing, and then it trickled down into the Bitterroot, down into Missoula with Sentinel and Hellgate. Big Sky wasn't there at the time. But just where it started and where it's come from, and thankful to the team back when they started in 78 that they voted for volleyball, and I think it was handball or something like that. And I was like, how did those two even become it? So just really cool to see how volleyball has progressed from there to the state of Montana, because MHSA hadn't incorporated it yet, and they actually denied it when they first started it. But Whitefish was required through a lawsuit to get it started. And so that's how we got those other 3 schools kind of saw the writing on the wall, like, oh, if that's going to happen in Whitefish, it's going to be coming down to us, right? And so then eventually it kind of just grew into that for Title IX stuff of women's rights and getting it up. And so I think that part is really cool from a female perspective, is that it was a Title IX piece that started the whole thing in Whitefish.
I think that's kind of how girls basketball got started in Whitefish too, actually.
Yeah. So just the front runners and to
cool.
Still be the front runners, right? Whitefish has always been in the mix. It's always a team that you walk in, you're kind of like, when we were in Columbia Falls, I was like, oh, there's Whitefish, right? When we're at Flathead, we're like, we've got to beat Whitefish. There was a big rivalry, and you can kind of see that when you get to be the coach of Whitefish, to see what other teams and how they respond to you.
It's funny because when you talk a lot about that too, the person who really was at the head front of that was Jackie Fuller. I don't know how you answer this question, but
thanks.
What does Jackie mean to Whitefish volleyball? Is there a way to put that into words?
Man, I don't think it's just Whitefish volleyball that she's impacted, right? Like, she coached me when I was at Flathead. Always setting the standard, setting the bar high, whether you got the opportunity to play against her team, whether you got the opportunity to chat with her. She set a standard that you could see just by her team walking in the door. Whether you agreed with her hollering, if you listened to what Jackie was saying to her girls, she was a good coach when she was out there. And so she set that standard that trickled to other volleyball teams, but it also set a standard within Whitefish High School, right? She had that opportunity because she was in PE, and then she went to an administrative role. She holds you to a high bar.
You don't say.
She holds you to a high bar, right? And
you don't say, yes, ma'am. It's drop down and give me 10.
And you know what?
She'll still joke with that with me.
It's not always a bad thing.
No, it's not.
Right? You can either love her or hate her, but at the end of the day, you're a better person because you got to cross paths with her. And if you had to do those push-ups and you were grumpy about it, well, don't do it again, right? You had an opportunity to learn. But it set the stage for more than just the volleyball program in Whitefish, and more than just volleyball in Whitefish. It was statewide.
When you look up at that gym and you see those state championship banners, what made those teams special? I mean, what was it? 5 out of 7 years they won a state championship from 2000 to 07 or something?
I think it was 2001, 2003, 5, 6, 7. I think it comes back to that culture piece, right? That 2001 team would have helped breed those other teams and set that standard. And that was a really unique group of athletes at that time within our valley. Like, we had Flathead was really strong then. Whitefish was really strong. We had some really strong athletes coming through our school systems at that time with this really competitive drive. There was no mercy from any of those athletes, but they liked each other and they had a common goal and a common vision, and they jumped on board and went with it. And so that 2001 team then, that 2003 team got to be a part of that.
The launching point.
That launching point, and I think that just set the standard because of how those young ladies chose to work.
How about when you think back to some of those teams, who are some of those names? Obviously, an Ashley Furta, Courtney Furta, Kirsten Blackburn is one that I always watched all the time.
Yeah.
Head basketball coach at Polson, she was a Whitefish grad and was a state champion for one of those team. Coach Brandy Buckless over in Polson. When you think back to some of those teams and think back to some of those names, how cool is it to really think about those? I mean, there were some really good athletes.
Really
then.
talented athletes. Yeah, and when you're, it's hard when you're on the other end of that. Like, I played against them or I coached against them. And because of who they were, it wasn't a one-man show like, oh, I've got to take care of Avery Orm. It was like, who's getting the ball and how are we going to stop X, Y, and Z, not just X, of your front row players. You had to look at them as a whole instead of individuals.
Who are some of those names that you always loved watching or that you always loved competing against?
You named them. You named them. Yeah.
And there's so many.
Yeah, there are. And, being 22, and it was kind of like deer in the headlights trying to figure out what the heck I was doing while those girls were playing. The 01 and 03 teams, like I played against the 01 team. 03, I was in college, so I didn't watch a lot of it then. And I just got the tail end. I was 06, 07 in Columbia Falls, so I just kind of got the tail end. But I did have the opportunity to help with Courtney Furta, Ashley Furta, Blackie, come into those practices and help just as a volunteer. And then, kind of some of that state championship pieces, those kind of went away. But it's kind of funny. My husband's cousins were on those teams too. And so it's like, oh yeah, I remember you. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay.
Oh, that's great.
Good work.
How about for this year's girls? What are you excited about to maybe have them witness this? What is it going to be for you to have your young athletes maybe understand the history of this program or to really see how deep this program goes?
I think I'm excited for them, and I hope that they recognize that they get to be part of it. That these ladies throughout the years help set the standard for where we're at now, that they laid the path for us to be able to do what we're doing. And so I hope that there's some appreciation in there. I hope that when these older players come back and watch, they're like, man, the game has changed, but still the humble beginnings are still there of the camaraderie and the teamwork. I think it's pretty special for these girls to get to be a part of this.
I think that's going to be the coolest part is you're going to have so many of these players come back, and not only are they going to be honored, but now you're going to have the chance to play in front of them. Obviously, that's just pressure in its own right, but it's cool. It's fun. It just shows the appreciation. It shows that camaraderie, that tradition.
Yeah, I hope there's a lot of people that come back to be a part of it because it is a full community. And when you get to do something for 4 years and be a part of that, it just continues to roll and to build, right? Like somebody's graduated, but someone was a freshman, and that person that's in the middle of them gets to bridge that gap and have the stories and the understanding and just to see where the programs have grown and how the game has changed.
And I will be broadcasting that game live on air as well. So, How about when your players walk into that gym and see all those former championship teams, what do you hope they take away from all of it?
Pride. I hope they're proud that they get to be a part of it and see all of this.
And then that game is September 17th against Ronan, I believe, correct?
Is. Yep, it's a Thursday. Wanted to make sure it was one of those 4 starting teams that started it way back when. So it'll be fun to have Ronan in the house and that support, right? We want to pack a house and
I was going to say,
support
this
them.
might be one of the most packed gyms we see for a volleyball. But
hope it is.
I don't know, because last year's senior night against Columbia Falls, that place was
rocking.
I don't think it could get more full than that.
Nope, unless maybe a divisional tournament, but which we get to host next year, which is pretty awesome in our new facility. But yeah, I hope a lot of people come out, that they're excited about looking back at their future and celebrating what volleyball has meant to them.
How about, are you going to have any of those former players come in and talk to the current girls? I'm assuming probably Jackie will come in.
I hope so. I mean,
and
that's
talk,
a great idea.
Sully even.
Sully and I just kind of touched base. They've been kind of working it on the backside. And I was like, all right, you got to clue me in here. Give me some more information. So hopefully we can have a couple pop in and see what's happening. I think it would be a great opportunity for our girls.
Well, because I think Jackie talked with the girls basketball team last year. I remember Allie saying that they talked again, no matter what you think of her, and for the record, she's one of my favorite people in this world. I wouldn't be who I am without her. Just the way, she talks, the way she carries herself, the messages she has. It's just you can't help but feel fired up.
She lives life with passion. Like, she doesn't ever do anything halfway. Everything's 100%. Every story that she tells, she's animated. She's just got excitement in life and finds the good in things and pushes you to be your best.
So how about for you, back full circle moment after all these years, what is the biggest lesson you've learned as a coach?
Oh, man. Grace.
What is something you hope every player who comes through your program takes with them after graduation?
I think that could be different depending on the individual, but I hope that they can take away one lesson that they've learned that they can use further in life that makes them a better person.
I love that. And then final question, end with something here a little bit bigger than volleyball. You have spent nearly 2 decades coaching athletes in the Flathead Valley. When you look back someday, what do you hope your legacy is?
I hope I've left a positive impact, that I've made a positive difference for people.
Perfect.
That I've been there when they needed it.
I think that's all I got for you, Coach. Thanks for coming on, sharing your story. Thanks for talking highly about everything. And good luck this year. Hopefully 2026 is a special year for Whitefish Volleyball.
It is. Thanks for having me.